California is facing, among other things, a dramatic boom in its population. New projections from the state say California's population will jump 75% over the next 40 years. And Southern California's Riverside County can expect a population growth rate of more than 200%. Casey Wine now reports on who will make up this rapidly growing population.
Higher Hispanic birth rates, as well as legal and illegal immigration, will add more than 25 million people to California by the middle of this century. The state's Department of Finance projects California's population will grow to nearly 60 million by 2050, an increase of about 75%. The report foreshadows a looming crisis. California already faces water and power shortages, decaying infrastructure, education funding gaps, and a $92 billion debt. Urban planners say state officials need to wake up.
They've been asleep at the switch in past decades. We had a lot of growth before in the 80s, and they didn't do a whole lot to prepare for it. They were coasting on the infrastructure that was put in place in the 60s. That many people requires more roads, it requires more infrastructure, it requires more housing. And it also generates a lot more business opportunities, too.
And major demographic and cultural shifts. Here's how California's population appeared in 2000. Whites, 47%, Hispanics, 32%, Asians, 11%, and blacks, 7%. Fast forward to 2050, and the state predicts Hispanics will make up more than half its population, whites only about a fourth. The percentage of Asians will increase slightly, while only 1 in 20 Californians will be black.
For Hispanics, almost 80% of the growth is due to natural increase or the excess of births over deaths, and it's just about the opposite for the Asians. Almost 80% of their growth is due to people moving to California either from other states or other countries.
Los Angeles County faces an even more dramatic projected shift. The white population shrinks to 1.6 million, while Hispanics swell to 8.4 million. Put another way, LA's Hispanic and Asian population is expected to double by 2050, while the number of whites and blacks will be cut in half. Hispanics will outnumber whites more than 5 to 1 in Los Angeles, 2 to 1 statewide. Some urban planners say that's a good thing, arguing aging baby boomers will benefit from higher Hispanic birth rates and immigration. Those young people will presumably help support boomers in retirement, from paying Social Security taxes to buying their homes. Lou?
Well, if that works out as well as the suggestion that illegal immigration is a boon to the state's economy, it perhaps should not give us an overwhelming sense of optimism. The fact is, California's state economy is in crisis, as is Los Angeles County. Any explanation offered by officials, and that's now, hardly 40 years from now, any explanation from state and county officials?
No explanation for how they're going to deal with it yet. The numbers have just come out this week. The Department of Finance says it's up to public policymakers to make the tough decisions as to how they're going to deal with what's an incredibly big population explosion.
I can't help but laugh when you talk about tough decisions, because the way the state of California has dealt with tough decisions so far, as you have reported, Casey, is to mask them and to shunt them to the side. In keeping with what is a national trend, at least one that has caught hold firmly in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much. Casey Wine from Los Angeles. Suffolk County, New York today is caught between a federal government that will not enforce border security nor immigration law and a group of state legislators who want immigration law ignored. The county is defying the state legislature, taking steps on its own to control the illegal alien crisis in its community. Bill Tucker has our report.
Few politicians are as popular as Suffolk County Executive Steve Levy. Last February, 75% of the voters approved of the job he was doing, according to a poll by Strategic Planning. But that was before his fight with the New York State legislature that could cost his county $320 million. Now his approval rating is approaching 80%. Not everyone is happy with Levy, though.
Many of us feel over 60 members of the legislature, which sign on to this resolution, feel that there is an air of intolerance in Suffolk County, somewhat reminiscent of the Deep South during the Civil Rights days.
The Black, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian caucus wants to force Suffolk County to build a hiring hall for illegal immigrant laborers. The action leaves Suffolk County in a twilight zone of immigration law. The federal government won't enforce immigration law, and now the New York State legislature wants the law ignored.
The state legislators are basically telling the county it has to violate the law. And what it does is create, as I say, a crisis of legitimacy. It strikes at the whole heart of our federal system, whereby states and counties have to comply with federal law.
But this is from a group which is also promoting giving voting rights to non-citizens, granting college assistance to children of illegal immigrants, and making it harder for police to identify and deport those who are here illegally.
We're simply enforcing the law. And it's the first time that I've ever seen state legislators band together to try to punish and demonize elected officials on a local level who are simply trying to enforce the law.
And enforcing the law has helped Levy, who has the endorsement of both the Republican and the Democrat parties in his bid for re-election.
And interesting, Levy finds himself in the same political situation as Hazleton, Pennsylvania Mayor Lou Barletta, who won both the Republican and the Democrat primaries in his bid for re-election in his hometown as well, Lou.
Okay, Bill, thank you very much. Bill Tucker. New developments tonight in a story this broadcast follows closely and reports on frequently. We can report to you that the Senate Judiciary Committee today announced it will hold hearings on the prosecution of former Border Patrol agents Ignacio Ramos and Jose Campion. And the two men are serving now lengthy sentences for the shooting and wounding of an illegal alien drug dealer who was given immunity from prosecution by the Justice Department to testify against those two men. Up next, the D.C. Madam Escort Service